it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video. Today's video is featuring some products from Pinkfresh Studio. This is the Painted Daisies and then the, I think it's the Modern Script Sentiments and then the Stained Glass Die. I guess my idea here, I've had these Painted Daisies for a while and wanted to use them. I think it's a really beautiful image and it's a great image to carry a whole card. And so I originally started out with the stencils and I was like, wow, you get so much like really good color variation, but how would you do it if you didn't have the stencils? And so that's pretty much what I'm showing today is two different kinds of cards that you can make and get a good color variation in your bouquets, or really anything. I mean, these rules would apply to anything, but today we're working with flowers. Usually we are here on my channel because I love them. But I just wanted to kind of show you a couple of options. And so there's a lot of big differences between these cards. And I think maybe for comparison purposes of color variation, they might be a little bit too far apart, a little bit too different from each other, but it's what I made. So that's what I'm sharing. So this card with the stencil is actually a no line. So I did not stamp it first. I just went in with the ink. I am using Pinkfresh inks. I like their little ink cubes because they come in little color families, but you can use whatever inks you have on hand. Most of them will probably blend together. Most inks do. But I like kind of having the light to dark options that are available in these ink cubes. So we've talked about this before in my videos. One way that you can get different colors is simply just by mixing them. So by putting down one type of ink color and then putting down another type of ink color over top of it when you're doing stenciling or ink blending, and then the combination of the two will give you a third color. So that is definitely one way that you can do it. Here, one of the things that I don't have, and I really should just suck it up and buy it, but I haven't. I don't have a purple from them. And I knew that was kind of the way I was going. And so I'm going to create my own purple because it's just pink and blue put together. And I have a pink ink set and I have a blue ink set. And so I'm going to make them make friends and then they will give me purple and I will be happy. So you'll see as we're kind of working our way through this image, these are super easy to line up if you've never used their stencils before. There's a guide in all four corners so that you can line them up with your cardstock underneath so that you know everything is where it is supposed to be. But I went through and did the colors, and then I kind of changed my mind a little bit. This pink that I'm using here actually ended up being a little bit too light, so I just went right back over it. Like, don't feel like you're not married to this, whatever it is that you start out with. Like, you're not in a long-term committed relationship if you don't want to be. And I like that a lot. I like being able to change my mind and kind of adapt. I still do when I talk to people. My unsolicited relationship advice is the single most important characteristic you can have in a partner is adaptability. And I think it's just sometimes we are very rigid or we want things just so, and there's something very freeing about kind of letting that go and realizing that if it doesn't work out, you can just adapt. And most of us are totally competent and able to do that if we would get out of our own heads. I'm an overthinker too, so I get it. But oftentimes things are fixable if we just let go of our expectations. I've told you before, and I will say it again because it's still true. Expectation is the thief of joy. No, comparison is the thief of joy. Expectations are the root of disappointment. That's the one I want because they are. And the other one is also true. The comparison is the thief of joy. But anywho, so just give yourself a little bit of grace when you're playing around with your colors. If it doesn't come out right the first time, just try something else. And 9 times out of 10, it might not be exactly what you thought it was going to be, but it'll be okay. So here, as we're going through, you can see I'm working mostly with the pinks at this point, and it's because I wanted those little flowers to be pink, but I want my big flowers, and the ones that are in that same kind of daisy shape, all the daisies, I wanted them to be the pinkish purple, and now here I'm adding over the blue. I would recommend starting with the lightest color, or a lighter color, maybe not the lightest. These ones are pretty pale in these pack, but a lighter color. You can always add darkness. It's much more difficult to take it away. So start with like a mid-tone. If you're going for a richer color, start with like a mid-tone and then see how far you need to push it to work your way up. Right now, this totally looks blue, but don't worry. As we keep adding these, it will eventually start to look purple. So if you have not watched my videos before, we do a little bit of we do a lot of card making, and we do a little bit of story time. And so I'm going to share with you my morning, because this is a longer video and it is a long story. So I need to give you the backstory first. So I am a coffee drinker. You guys know that. If you come to my channel, it's how I survive my life. A series of naps and coffee. When I first get up in the morning, I don't directly pour my first cup of ambition, if you will. I make myself a cup of tea, and that is what I drink every morning. And I have done this since I was in high school. So a long time. And there's two mugs. There's two mugs that I use for tea making. My parents picked them up, I think, in like the late 70s, early 80s. They are Ziggy mugs, if you know who the Ziggy cartoon character is. And they are stoneware mugs. There's two of them. There was three. I left one of them at my parents' house for when I make tea when I'm there. The other two came home with me, and I have taken them from house to house as I have moved, and I love these mugs. They make the best tea. I think it's the thicker, because they're the stoneware. I think it's the thicker ceramic stone that they're made out of. Whatever. They're amazing. They make the best tea. Tea is good in other cups, but it is the best in these mugs. And that's what I make every day I use those two mugs. They get washed very frequently. And so I've looked for them, by the way. For some of you who've asked me, like, I've seen a couple on like eBay and stuff that I haven't necessarily been able to get. I would be thrilled to pick up more stoneware mugs, but I just haven't found them. So anyway, this morning, Eric and I are pretty good about finding a 50-50 balance in our parenting. And so because of his new work schedule, he's always at work when Peanut goes to school, which means I am the Peanut taker to school. And sometimes I'm the Peanut picker-upper, and sometimes my parents pick him up. It just depends on the day. But we alternate who takes Caitlin to daycare. And so the last 2 days he has taken her, and he said like she's been super sleepy in the morning. She's been a little bit cranky because he's waking her up out of a dead sleep. And so she's just been a little bit of an unhappy baby when he first wakes her up. Back to the card. So here is where I'm changing my mind. I feel like that light pink is too light. And so I'm going to go back in with a darker, brighter pink. And I'm just going to go back over the shading that's already there. It didn't like wipe it out or anything like that. If anything, it made it a little bit more purple, less blue. And then I was much happier with these results for these like brightly colored flowers. I felt like that was more of the look I was going for. And with that said, then this one is complete. You can use the stencils without ever buying the stamp, and they will be beautiful. They will look just like that. Now we are on to the stamped version. I am going to color them. I don't want to say similar. I'm going to color them in the same color family, but not the same way, because I am going to be doing my more traditional Copic coloring, the lightest to darkest, darkest to lightest, but I am going to be staying in that same pink, purple, blue family for the flowers, and then the yellow greens for the leaves. I cannot recreate. I mean, I guess I probably could if I sat down and really looked at the stencils to see where they're adding the shading, but that just didn't feel authentic to me. So I'm doing this my own way, but with the same type of colors, and then showing you how you can get that color variation with Copics versus doing it with ink blending. And I think that the majority of you will probably be happier with your results with the ink blending. Mostly, not because you can't color, you guys can all color, but mostly because it's so much faster. It just is. And if you're not a person who enjoys coloring, which I know that there are a few of you, few of my ride or dies fans that are followers that watch me even though you don't enjoy coloring, like the stencils for sure are the way to go. And they're beautiful. And you can make it look like this card, the way this card does at the end. That's a whole nother story. We have to talk about that too. We got a lot to fit into this video, guys. So anyway, she's been a little bit cranky. This morning was my morning to take her, which is no big deal. The gist of it is whoever takes her has to get up basically a half an hour earlier. No big deal. All right. So I get up, I get my things done. Because Molly's still being crated. She has to still be taken out on the leash. We're a week out of freedom. Super excited for that. But so I take Molly out on her leash. I make myself a cup of tea. I make Caitlin's bottle. Like I do my morning routine. And then I go up and get her out of bed. And this morning, she is a brilliantly happy baby. She is not cranky at all. She's very excited to see me, in fact. I take her downstairs. And again, this is another part of our routine. So whoever is taking her in the morning, in case something tragic happens, they don't have to worry about it. When I give her her bath, I put her in her onesie that she's wearing tomorrow. And then her pants are already there. So whoever gets her in the morning basically just has to change her diaper and then put her pants on, sleep sack off. It's nice and easy. And so that's what I do. I feed her bottle. She's a happy girl. I put her in her playpen so I can go upstairs and wake up Peanut for school. And he gets up. He's running just a little bit behind. He was having a hard time waking up. I was making his lunch. She's playing in her playpen, watching, I think Bluey was the go-to this morning. And so I send him upstairs to brush his teeth, get dressed, all that. And I go to pick her up to put her in her car seat. And when I pick her up, I can feel the bottom of her tushy, on her thigh, is wet. And like every parent or every mother for all of mothers in the rest of forever has said, the first words out of my mouth are, "Is that poop?" And sure enough, it is in fact poop. That's what has happened. So I'm basically should have left to take him, take them where they need to go about 2 minutes ago. And now my dear, sweet, adorable, very happy child has pooped out the side of her diaper through her onesie, through her pants. So I'm like, okay, this is what we're in. I go upstairs. I get her a whole new outfit. I change her, clean her, all of that jazz. I think, okay, there's a snowball's chance here that I will be able to get him. I'll just have to take him in reverse. I'll take him first and then her second. And I should still be able to get him there on time because I leave early in order to drop her off first. So I'm like, okay, we can still make this happen. Yeah, even though we had a total blowout, it's all right. We're gonna go with it. Back to the card. So here at this point, my pink and my purple flowers are colored. I am going to do something you guys heard me talk about a lot called color glazing. Copics are transparent. If you go over one color with another color, it will tint it or glaze it to be another color. This is how I'm going to get that pink purple look that I'm kind of going for by just taking a comparative color. So like for me, I'm using a B02. It's dark enough to add blue, but not so dark it's going to overtake all my shading. And then for the pink, I'm using a 4, an RV04, because of the same thing. It's going to deposit color, but not be so dark it overtakes my shading. And I'm just going to work on the flowers until I'm happy. You can add a little, you can add a lot, you can do every petal, you could do 2 petals, whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you happy. This is just something that you can put in your arsenal to maybe use at a later date. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can still make this work. Peanut is trying to be extremely helpful. And he is like grabbing Caitlin's bag. Can I take this out to the car? He comes back in. He's got his book bag he takes out to the car. And then as I put her in her car seat. I get her snapped in, all that stuff. And he says to me as I'm finishing it up, can I take your purse out? My purse is extraordinarily heavy. I know that. And so as he is picking up my purse, I am walking over to him to move my teacup. That is my intention. That is what I am doing. My sole purpose is to move this teacup so that he doesn't bump into it trying to move my purse. And as I am 1 step away, sure enough, he smacks the teacup with my purse. It falls into the floor. Thank you, Jesus, it does not break. If the teacup would have broke, I probably would have cried. I'm going to be honest. I love my mug so much. Eric always teases me that for my coffee, I have like 4 mugs I drink out of. But listen to me when I tell you the only mugs I truly care about are my Ziggy mugs. That is it. They came from my parents. They are part of my childhood. And they make the best tea. So, anywho, he immediately, like I can see it in his face, immediately, I'm so sorry. And I was like, buddy, it's okay. It was an accident. Accidents happen. It's all right. Just stay where you are so I can clean up said tea. So I put sugar in my tea. So now I have basically the equivalent of sugar water all over my pants, down, it's like splattered all over the left-hand side of my pants and my shirt, all over our white cabinets, all over the floor, and I know it's going to be sticky. So I told him, I was like, you know what? Sometimes you just have to accept that the morning isn't going to be what you think it is, and you just have to accept that that's where you're at, and we're going to move on. Like, we're going to clean up the mess and we're going to just move on with our day. We're not going to be mad about it. This isn't going to set the whole tone for our day. So I wipe it up with paper towels. I then spray it and wipe it up, grab him, grab her, off we go. At this point, I know that when your child is late, you have to walk them into school and sign them in. So now that I know we're for sure going to be late, like there's no way we're going to I shouldn't say that. We would be precariously close. We would be like, the bell rings at say 9 a.m. We would be there at maybe 8:59. Maybe we could make it. Maybe it'd be 9:01. So I'm like, I'm just going to take her and I'll walk you in. So I take her to daycare. I drop her off. I pull into the school, pull into a parking spot, like right by the car rider line, because I got to walk him in, and we get out of the car. And the bus driver lady is like, the bell hasn't rang. He can still make it. And I'm like, are you serious? It hasn't rang yet? And she was like, no, if he goes now, he can still make it. So Christmas miracle in September, he actually makes it to class on time, despite the entire morning that we had, which was a total disaster. At which point, when I left there and came back home, I texted my husband and I was like, I will trade you Cranky Baby in the Morning for whatever just happened to me. Anytime. Anytime you'd like to trade those, I will trade. And he's like, what happened? And then I told him, and he was like, nah, the poop's I don't want it, is a no-go for me. And I don't blame him. So here, at this point, both of these are colored up. One on the left is stenciled and no-lined. One on the right is Copic. I wanted to show you that despite the fact that this is such a large stamp, there's a couple of different ways that you can use it. You could actually color one piece, cut it in half, whether vertical or horizontal, and get some totally different looks from it. So that's what I'm just showing you this here briefly so that you can see that it is a little bit more versatile than just a simple flower colored image. And here's where things start to go awry and where I've changed it possibly a hair too much. There was a meme. There was a meme I saw a long time ago, and it was, well, I guess it was more like a cartoon drawing. What I'm doing here is, again, just showing you a different way that you can do this, just to have some variety of looks. So, you know, this happens to be a hexagon I had laying on my desk. You could pop that up over it, or, you know, cut this particular shape with a hexagon style die, or whatever, you know, diamonds, squares, circles, you know what I'm saying. Just some more ideas. I like to give ideas. So for the sentiments, I'm only going to stamp what I need. I'm going to use the You're the Best and the Best Wishes. The way that Pinkfresh designs their stamps is so that it's all one piece, but I don't need the whole piece. So I'm doing them two different ways. One of them is going to be black with white embossing, and then the other one I'm going to stamp on white with the actual colored ink. And again, to make my purple, I'm going to stamp it twice. You'll see that mess when we get there. But anywho, so this cartoon was a dad, and it said in it, Lisa is so much more confident than her sister, Hogface. And I laughed hysterically at it because obviously, why would Lisa be more confident than her sister, Hogface? I wonder why that would be. And I feel like I kind of did that to this stencil card. A little bit. I didn't mean to, but I think maybe I changed the other one so much that it was just like so over the top that I just made her look less pretty. Like I put her next to a supermodel and now she looks like a pig with lipstick on. It's still a beautiful card if you look at it by itself. Don't look at it next to the other one. I did it a disservice. I can admit that. So here, I'm stamping, this is just like a scrap of white cardstock, the Nina, same thing I always use. And so I stamped it in the pink first, and I thought that maybe I would like that, I stamped it in the pink, and then I put a medium blue over it, and I thought that would be dark enough, and it wasn't. I should have gone with a darker blue. I also did another one where I white heat embossed it on purple. I didn't like that one at all. But here I'm just showing you how I die cut them out. I'm just lining up the cardstock, taping them down. Obviously, these ones are right next to each other, but you could do this with any of the sentiments that are included in these style of sets. This isn't the only one that they have. And I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. And then I'm very quickly going to realize that I don't like that purple one at all, and I want to use this guy, but this guy isn't dark enough. So in order to make this guy darker, I am using my sticky mat. I'm going to line this back up because I couldn't just stamp a new one, right? That would have been too easy. No, ma'am. I have to make it substantially more difficult and line up this little die cut again so that I can restamp it. Good Lord, sometimes. But anywho, it worked. And I was much happier with the way that looked. Like I said earlier in the video, 20 some minutes ago now, sometimes you just got to roll with it and be willing to kind of change it as you go along. And again, I was happier with the way that this came out. I just used my little tweezers to peel it off. So I knew the white one was a little bit plain after looking at the other one, on black. I knew the white one needed a little bit of extra help to make it more interesting, because it has like these really, and I think that the no line look is beautiful. I just think that I did it a disservice by putting it next to this other one that's very dramatic. So in order to give it a little bit of texture, I cut the stained glass out of the back and then put that on the back. In order for this one to really sing, I mean, she's going to win Miss America. She's a beautiful girl. I'm not going to pretend like she's not. She's clearly my favorite. Can you tell? I like the drama. I mean, I don't like other people's drama, but I like a dramatic card. And also, you know, I feel like my husband's a little dramatic. We actually got this mug. So funny, when we were on our anniversary trip, and it literally says, "So apparently I'm dramatic." And Eric was like, we need to get you this mug. And I was like, no, we need to get you that mug. So we just decided that whoever is being dramatic that day gets to use the mug. You know, we're going to share it equally. So anywho, this one is gorgeous. And I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I don't love it. I do. And I just think that those bright colors really pop off the black. And then I put it next to this very soft, no line kind of coloring that, you know, the stencil creates, which is beautiful, but it is substantially less dramatic. And I don't necessarily know, like, they're the same but different. And I think maybe I took the different a smidge too far. But nonetheless, that is what I did. So for the, I'm just doing the white on white for the stained glass. I did not go over every single line. Like, I got it good enough that it would stick. Because also I'm going to glue the flowers over top of it, and I'm okay with that. So I lined it up with my white card base. You guys do know that I like the white on white texture or tone on tone texture, because I feel like it adds something without taking away from my focal point. And so I'm just going to glue my flowers down flat on top of this, same as I did the other one. The other one, I did not add the stained glass die cut, like cover plate to. I just didn't feel like it needed it. I felt like it was making a statement on its own. This one looked like it needed just a little additional help. So I'm going to glue that in place. But you can see they are very similar color families, and two different ways to get the color variation kind of going on within the same design, the same image design. So yeah, after those were done, I did go through, these are from Honeybee. These are the Autumn Pearls. Loving these colors so much. And they had some perfect little purple ones in there, and I used those to accent both sentiments on both cards. And then you guys know that I love the shimmers. I'm a big fan of the shimmers. And so I did put those on both of the flowers as well. I feel like we had a lot of crazy story time in this video here. Just really wild morning. And then whatever I did to Lisa and Hogface here. I feel terrible even calling that card that. She's so pretty on her own. Just hold up your hand to the right hand side of the screen and just block it off. And look at how pretty she is by herself on the left there. All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Genuinely appreciate your time. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye.